Beyond the Mic with Sean Dillon.
We're joined on the Starline by football coach, business leader, author of Against the Green, a coach's wisdom on character, faith, family, and love, currently host of an Army of Normal Folks podcast. We welcome Coach Bill Courtney.
How are you?
Absolutely great, Bill. Let's go Beyond the Mic. You said in your Academy Award-winning documentary, Undefeated, quote, "You think football builds character? It does not. Football reveals character," unquote. How has America's character been tested recently?
Oh, my gosh. I think we've got to the bottom of the hour, and we need about 7.5 hours to answer that one. But, I mean, we've been tested politically. We've been tested socially. We've been tested culturally. We've been tested by our adversaries. We are routinely tested by China and Russia and others. I think it's important. I mean, one of my core beliefs is we can be a forward-thinking, evolving society without abandoning the core principles that got us here and guided us in the first place. And I think the more we're tested, the more important it is that we lean on those core values and principles.
You believe in changing our country one life and one community at a time. How has the members of your Army of Normal Folks changed our country for the better?
You know, it's... I wish I had so much time, but I will tell you, for instance, the podcast that was released is about Officer Tommy Norman, and you talk about being tested. I think we are really tested by how do we deal with criminal justice reform, Black Lives Matter, all of these things that are infiltrating the current narrative in our country. And you got this guy named Officer Tommy Norman, who's a cop in North Little Rock, Arkansas, who is changing community policing. His goal is to get into the people that are in his precinct, to get in their front yard, then to get in their front door, and then to get into their kitchen table. He takes names of all the people that he polices. He gets their phone numbers on his off days. He calls them to check on them. He parks his car. He gets out. He old school walks his beat. And this white cop in a predominantly African-American community is now revered and thought of as the Michael Jordan of community policing. And the story that he tells about how he reaches the people in the neighborhoods that he polices, and these are tough neighborhoods, and the success he's had, it's just so obvious that he's just a normal dude. But an army of guys like that can change this national narrative that's pulling at the fiber of who we are as a people by just getting out and doing the right thing. And the problem is our media is overrun with stories of all the bad stuff, but they never hear the stories about Officer Tommy Norman. And our job at an Army of Normal Folks is to highlight those stories and hopefully inspire listeners to get involved in their communities in any way they can.
Host of an Army of Normal Folks podcast, Coach Bill Courtney joined us Beyond the Mic. And Coach, it's time for the Rocking 8. 8 random questions. Answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. There is no pressure.
Holy moly. Here we go.
Favorite wood?
Favorite wood is rift and quartered white oak.
Last former player you spoke to?
Chavis Daniels.
Best place in Memphis to sit and just think?
My church.
Who is the one person that you want to get involved with an Army of Normal Folks?
You.
Out of 31 seniors who went to college in your final 2 years of coaching, how many have given back to their own communities?
Wow. At least 9, 10.
What's your favorite way to start the day?
Kiss my wife.
What's the best Ole Miss football game you've ever seen?
In I think it was 89 or 90, on the inaugural Paul Bear Bryant Day in Tuscaloosa, a 4-win Ole Miss team went to Alabama on homecoming and the first annual Paul Bear Bryant Day and beat them in Tuscaloosa. Phenomenal afternoon.
What's the last thing you've built for your home?
What is the last? A bookcase behind my bar to hold glasses and bourbon.
It's time for the back half with the host of an Army of Normal Folks podcast, Coach Bill Courtney, be on the mic. Coach, with all the growth in your movement, has your lumber business, Classic American Hardwoods, been hindered or helped because of your Army of Normal Folks?
I really don't think either. I think the same tenets and values employed in an Army of Normal Folks are employed in the business, so it's just a parallel effort. At
the end of every one of your episodes, you and your guests give out your email address. Why is this important? And if you want, feel free to give out your email address to everyone listening today.
It's important because we're trying to build an army of normal folks, and each guest is just a normal person doing amazing things. And it's important that if listeners hear and are inspired to do something that guest is doing, we want them to be able to talk about it, to help mentor each other, to exact some measure of change in their communities. And you can reach me at bill@normalfolks.us.
Coach, how has your life changed since the creation of your movement?
I am humbled by the thousands of stories there are of amazing Americans who nobody knows that do phenomenal things in their culture and their society to make it a better place. And I guess I'm changed by the hope that gives me.
It's time for One Big Question with an Army of Normal Folks podcast host, Coach Bill Courtney, be on the mic. How has your dreams evolved from when you were younger to today?
My dad left home when I was 4. My mom was married and divorced 5 times. My 4th father shot at me down a hallway with a pistol, and I had to dive out a window to save myself. And the way I look at life now versus when I did as a kid is that despite all of the barriers that the world will put in front of you, and the world's an evil, tough place, you can overcome and you can be successful and you can find happiness and love. It just takes normal folks doing extraordinary work.
Where can people find out more information about joining your Army of Normal Folks?
Go to normalfolks.us, coachbillcourtney.com. But most importantly, listen to the podcast. Listen to an Army of Normal Folks. You can find it on iHeart, Spotify, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just listen in, see what we're talking about, get inspired, and then join up and join the movement.
He believes in love, truth, honor, and American exceptionalism and leadership through service. He wants you to listen to an Army of Normal Folks wherever you hear podcasts. Coach Bill Courtney, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And that, my friends, is a Beyond the Mic shortcut.